सुमार 80 वर्ष पुढे
For those Konkanis in Goa who till then valiantly resisted the state-sponsored forceful conversion attempts of the fanatical Christian missionaries, the year 1542 was the breaking point. They finally left their homeland and opted Kochi, Kerala. For them, during those turbulent years, their only solace was their ardent faith in their gods and religious customs that helped them to establish and make material progress.
Temple houses the idol of Venkatachalapati Tirumala Devar, believed to be responsible for the prosperity of the Konkani community. In Fort Kochi, the Konkani community has a sizable presence, and the temple symbolizes their strong presence in the region. The community members are mostly into trade and commerce. Both temple and idol have had a checkered history and have been plundered and restored time and again. The temple premises is a sprawling one. The Sanctum Sanctorum itself occupies a huge area. The outer walls of this temple are massive, resembling that of a fort. The roads that go around the temple pass by houses belonging mainly to the Konkani community, which have a unique design and layout compared to the rest of the dwellings in that area. Right in front of the main entrance of the temple, one can find a large pond which is part of the temple. In the middle of the pond stands a four-pillared structure made of natural stone. It is used during ceremonial purposes during the annual temple festival, which falls in March-April.
For the devotees of Lord Venkatachalapati, the magnificent temple and the idol have been sources of inspiration in their material and spiritual pursuits for more than 400 years. It was believed that the idol was made by Lord Vishwakarma and worshipped by the kings of Vijayanagara Empire. But much of the history of the idol prior to his arrival in Kochi is steeped in mythology, ballads and oral traditions. Hardly there was an attempt made to document it. However, recently an attempt in that direction was made by a few members from Mysore. Bellary district of Karnataka, India, there is a village called Hampi. Extensive excavation there have brought out the remnants of a huge ancient township. The Archaeological Society has been attempting to preserve the remnants. Now these excavations have established that Hampi was part of the historical Vijayanagara kingdom. History books mention that the Vijayanagara kingdom was started in the year 1336 by two brothers, Harihara and Bukkaraya, at the behest of their religious guru Sant Vidyaranya. The kingdom, which had the turbulent Tungabhadra river on one side and steep hillocks on the other, acting as natural boundaries, flourished with over 500,000 people. During the 15th century, 1486 to 1493, the kingdom was ruled by King Silva Narasimha. He was an ardent devotee of Tirupati Lord Venkatachalapati. He used to visit the temple for worship by walk on a daily basis. When he became old and incapable to walk, it is said that the king's prayers were answered by the Lord, who directed Vishwakarma to make an idol for the king. Since then, that idol was worshipped by the king. That idol was believed to have been shifted in 1513 to the temple constructed by King Krishnadevaraya, 1509 to 1530. This temple is now known as the ruins of Sri Vithala Vishnu Temple. The Battle of Talikota in 1565 and the invasion by Muslim rulers from Deccan brought about the downfall of Vijayanagara Empire. The city was looted for over 6 months, its temples destroyed and the idols desecrated by the invaders to demonstrate a false superiority of those fanatic Muslims' criminals' religious faith over Hinduism. It is believed that the main idol in the temple was deposited secretly in the temple tank by the priest at the behest of the deity to ensure its safety from the invaders. 2 years later, Swami Vijendra Tirtha of Kumbakonam Mutt, who happened to traverse that region, recovered the idol by a divine intervention. Later, the Swamiji visited Kochi to perform the annual Chaturmasa Vrata among the Gauda Saras of the Brahmin community. On seeing the radiance of the idol, the community, under the leadership of Sri Malappai, requested for the idol. The Swamiji, seeing the sincerity and devotion behind the request, handed over the idol to them. Later, the Swamiji himself, along with his disciple, Swami Sudindra Tirtha Swami, consecrated the idol in the temple in the year 1599. Many years later, in the year 1881, the idol was reconsecrated for the third time in the magnificent temple now seen in Kochi. In between that period, the idol was taken to nearby villages Turavur and then to Alapura to protect it from the fanatical Christian Portuguese invaders and also the local Hindu king. Thus, from the oral traditions, it can be seen that the main idol in Kochi Tirumala temple was the presiding deity of Sri Vithala Vishnu temple of Hampi. The archaeological findings at Hampi, like the vacant temple sanctum sanctorum and sub-deities preserved in the archaeological museum, give credence to the oral traditions. Surprisingly, those sub-deities presently consecrated in the Kochi Tirumala temple exactly match with the sub-deities kept in the Hampi museum. It is also interesting to note that the main deity of Sri Vithala Vishnu temple is missing in the Hampi museum. Thus, it can be safely corroborated that the missing deity of Sri Vithala Vishnu temple in Hampi was located by Swami Vijendra Tirtha from one of the temple ponds in Hampi and later brought to Kochi and handed over to the Gauda Saras of the Brahmin community in Kochi. Sri Vithala Vishnu temple complex is perhaps the most famous, beautiful and well known among all ruins in Hampi. The site is significant historically and architecturally. About Hampi, it is said that if one wants to witness The competition between the man and Vishwakarma, that is the place on earth. Any number of words would fail to do justice to the wonderful monument dedicated to Lord Vishnu. Once inside the complex, the stone chariot in front of the main door attracts our attention. Words fail while describing the beauty of this wonderful man-made piece of art. That stone chariot has stone wheels which many believe actually rotate. It is a miniature temple which is carved out of a single rock. As if mute witness to the ruthless destruction, the sculptures with maimed body parts stand frozen in time on the steps of the temple. The sanctum sanctorum, once vibrant with Vedic hymns and prayers of the devotees, wears a desolate look. Two of his sub-deities are kept in the archaeological museum in Hampi town. In the Hampi Archaeological Museum, many of the idols either destroyed or desecrated by the fanatical Muslims invaders were carefully preserved. It hurts one's pride to see the fate of those idols once worshipped by the millions. Hampi also has many places of historical importance. The idol of Lakshmi Narasimha, popularly called Ugra Narasimha, is carved out of a rock in situ. The Kadalakkadu Ganesha temple houses a massive Ganesha who bears the scars of the Muslim invasion and their intolerant faith. Names like Purandaradasa is also linked with Hampi. It is believed that the saint compiled many of his kirtanas while meditating on the banks of river Tungabhadra on the western side of the temple. As if moved by the penance of the great saint, the place still retains its serenity and pristine beauty. It is a great mystery that Virupaksha temple with its majestic towers was not touched by the Muslim invaders. The team returned from Hampi with mixed feelings. While they were happy to see the homeland of idol of Kochi Tirumala Devar, that place also reminded that despite the attempts to whitewash the temple destructions in Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi, the facts lay bare in Hampi of the intolerance of Muslims towards Hindus.